Hello and welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the screaming to determine the best movie for any given year. Of course, this year we are doing 1999. This is part two. We're reviewing 1999. What do we get wrong? What do we get right? Probably mostly stuff we got right, if I had to imagine. We are back with all new shows for the movies that we did not get to cover last time, and we are reviewing the movies that we did get to cover the last time we did 1999. Tonight's episode is going to be primarily about South Park, bigger, longer, uncut, which incidentally, I think this is a little bit of a mistake. That's kind of suggestive in a way. I think they didn't hear that. And then the movie that we're going to talk about towards the back half of the show, our companion movie that we already did a 1999 show about, is Toy Story 2. So stick around if you want to hear us talk about our other animated feature from 1999, Toy Story 2. I'm your host, Greg. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Before we move on, I just want to remind you, this is a game show. I'm giving out points. Not only am I making points on this show, I'm giving out points. I've got a couple contestants here tonight, and every time they say something that I think is interesting, oh, that's points. Anytime they say something that makes me laugh, that's points. If you make me cry, I could see that being points because that would be pretty profound to cause me to weep right on the show. But it wouldn't be a game show without contestants, and I have two of the finest contestants of all time here with me tonight. Joining me, as always, because he doesn't take weeks off for no good reason, is Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm like a motherfucking podcasting mailman.
Oh, my gosh.
Rain nor sleet nor and I do mean like the people who bring you mail and not Karl Malone. I have nothing in common with Karl Malone.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Wow. Well, I have this one thing in common with Karl Malone.
Good at basketball?
I deliver. That's why we're both like a male man.
Could you beat Karl Malone today at basketball?
No, I couldn't be. Honestly, dude, I couldn't beat Karl Malone at like ping pong. I'll let Karl Malone tell me what sport he's worst at. I could not beat him.
All right. Could you beat Karl Malone at hooking up with chicks that are over age?
Well, for me, over age is pretty late in life. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not kicking any old ladies out of my bed, if you know what I mean.
Could you be better at or at Jimmy Kimmel than being Karl Malone in brownface?
I could be better at being Jimmy Kimmel. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. That was the sound of Nate's voice and of Ryan getting a point because Nate did not wait to be introduced from the hit show debut buddies. Joining us for, I'm going to say, the 100th time. Congratulations, Nate, on your 100th episode. It's Nate. How you doing, Nate?
I'm great, and I'm very excited to circumnavigate this Uncut movie.
Yeah, we're going to get all the way around it.
I would like to say in the tradition of Nate's podcast about debuts that has very specific rules, this is the debut of his 100th performance.
Exactly.
Of the year.
This is the first time he's ever been on his 100th.
I'm breaking off my first hundo.
Nate, right up top, tell us a little bit about Debut Buddies.
It's a fortnightly podcast about firsts, so we talk about anything from the first David Lynch film, which would be Eraserhead, to maybe the first female elected official, who would be a mayor in Kansas in the 1800s, who was voted in as a joke by assholes.
Her name,
History's
Janet
fun.
Eraserhead.
Yeah,
Mayor
no
Carey.
relation.
Look at her. She's getting really upset up there. You could just feel every kind of vibrating and getting warm. Nate, we had you on specifically to talk about South Park, bigger, longer, uncut. What is your history with this movie? And also, give me a little bit of your history with the show South Park.
I think I was kind of a late arrival to South Park as a viewer of the show, largely because I didn't really have cable for most of my childhood, and it was a Comedy Central program.
Yeah.
But, it was a phenomenon in my high school years. It's a big deal. These kids, they're swearing. That's peak something when you're 15, 16, 17 years old.
It's peak something.
It is. It might also be bottom something. The film itself, like, I don't think I saw it in the theater. I probably saw it a couple years after it came out. I'm going to guess probably it was a morning thing around September 12th that I put on South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, just to wrap my head around what was going on with the world.
Take the pain away.
I mean, it's a simpler time. Like, none of that's happened as far as Saddam and Satan's relationship is concerned. So we're not even looking for the things we were looking for 2 years later. But yeah, my relationship with it then, I think, was kind of the admiration I had for the show. Like, it seemed edgy, but edgy to me then seemed like a cool thing that was like fun and
Yeah.
interesting. And obviously, I feel very differently about it now.
Ryan, let's go to you. Were you like a South Park guy?
Oh my goodness. I like this is probably the first thing that I can think of where I was old enough where my friends and I all had a phenomenon together. And like there's stuff before that like, we didn't do pogs or not big gamers, but like this was nightly or weekly
Yeah.
viewing when I was a kid when this first came out. The first season was such a fucking big deal. And then it was sort of diminishing returns from there. But I had a flashback, something I had totally forgotten about. The Halloween of this year, my friends and I were all in a band that played at football games for high school.
A high school band,
A high
sure.
school band, yeah. And we went dressed as the South Park characters during the first season for Halloween, and we thought we were just gonna fucking everyone was gonna like take
Yeah.
a knee at us. No response whatsoever until halftime. We watched to get food or whatever, and then we were walking back to our seats, and we were walking at like in a line, but profile to the audience. So just like that scene in this movie,
Kind of bouncing around.
and some guy noticed, not any of the four of us, but a fifth guy dressed as Chef, who was white but did not do blackface, unlike Jimmy Kimmel.
Hell yeah, way to go. I'm giving you a point for that, Ryan.
That point is for Sean, who
John C.
Sean P.
Sean P.
Who he did write Chef on his apron.
Of course.
That's what you do with shitty Halloween costumes. But yeah, one guy shouted out Chef, and then everyone in the crowd applauded. South Park was such a big deal. This movie came out probably about the time when Ryan and Greg started hanging out.
Yes, very much so.
And absolutely top 5 movie theater going experiences. Like really the roof was coming off of the building.
It was packed full of people. I remember walking into the like not into the theater, but just into the building itself. And there was like people like just sitting on the ground, like lined up against the wall, all young guys. It looked like we were all going to go watch WWE or something.
I heard so many stories I read so many stories this week about people who went when they were 10 and their parents.
Yeah.
Watched it. That was not the case in this theater, but I've been fortunate enough to go to a couple of playoff baseball games, and that was really what it sounded like in that theater.
Yes. Yeah. My own personal history with South Park is I was like, we did have cable, Nate, not to brag.
Yeah.
But from the time we got cable, which we got it in like 1996 or something, I saw that there was a channel called Comedy Central, and I was like, well, I like to laugh. And from 1996 to I want to say like 2007, I basically only watched Comedy Central. Just like I would tune away to watch either Must See TV or whatever episode of The Simpsons was on, because Simpsons with reruns would be on like 5 times a day. But so I was like, I knew South Park from a long way out. I watched the first few episodes. I bought a South Park t-shirt the first chance I got. The first time I wore it, nobody knew what it was or what I was doing. Literally, this is true. It was such a phenomenon that by the second time I wore it, people were like, "Oh, you're just trying to like be trendy."
The whole thing had happened in between one laundry load.
It got a lot of like the like what they lampoon in the movie. It got a lot of, which is like people like freaking out about it, and that like exploded its popularity. I do think it's interesting, Ryan, that you say the movie came out after it cooled, because that is true. It was like explosively popular for a couple of years, but by the time the movie came out, that had waned a little bit, and Matt Parker and Trey Stone weren't sure that after the movie the show would even come back.
This is supposed to be their swan song.
This was like sort of them fulfilling the end of the contract. Okay, so that is us. Obviously, so I was very excited to see it. It was the soundtrack was in my CD player for like 2 years. I know every lyric to every song. But how about now, Nate? Your general impressions. I feel like your overall opinion of this movie has maybe soured a little bit. Is that true?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, I rewatched it to prepare for this and was pretty like disappointed in just generally how it doesn't hold up. And I think it's like maybe a movie that's sort of in conversation with itself in a very specific time. And now that that time has passed, it's sort of like the conversation is no longer there. I mean, when you make a movie that is sort of self-indulgently about how nobody about what you're making being art that should be valid, but society doesn't
Uh-huh.
get it. When it's like, okay, but we're past that now. Like
Yeah,
almost
today
all
was
of prestige TV has swearing and sex and
Yeah.
everything else, and like this conversation is long over, so it no longer hits the same way.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that I do have some love for is because as someone who grew up in Colorado, like it is a Colorado branded sort of thing. And the boys own Casa Bonita now, which is the restaurant that there is a single episode about, and that at least is good. But yeah, as far as this movie is concerned, like it's really cringy and tough to laugh at a lot of the things, even though some of the songs are still good.
Ryan, what are your updated impressions?
different. It is funny. I didn't put this.
Different from Nate or different from your initial
Sorry,
impressions?
different from Nate. I didn't put this together, but when Nate was talking, I feel like what South Park movie was then, just like commenting on itself and how nobody will let you be who you are, is now what right wing podcasts are,
Oh my god.
of just people saying, "Why won't they let me talk while you're talking?" and people are listening.
This just to interrupt you briefly, this is something I want to talk about tonight, which is who did this movie vote for? Not Trey Park, Matt Stone, not like South Park as an entity now. 1999 South Park the movie. Is this a Trump coded movie? Is this a MAGA movie or is this a liberal movie? That's something I want to suss out tonight.
Okay, we have time to think about that.
Yeah,
I have to decipher a
yeah.
little bit. No, I thought this movie was great, and there is probably the left brain of me that is remembering that night in the theater.
Yeah.
And still, I laughed a lot, but it's hard to. I was by myself. It's hard to compete with that theater going experience, which sucks that we'll never get another comedy in movie theaters again.
Yeah.
But
People just don't want to get together and laugh.
no, it's not in Trump's America. The other side of me was very impressed with the structure of the screenplay and obviously the music. And I think that there was so much that went on here, that it did speak to a punk rockier version of me. But there was still, I think, so much to appreciate about this.
All right, and I say I came in somewhere between those two perspectives. My impressions changed a lot since the time I saw it in '99, and I also feel like the movie Trey Parker, Matt Stone, I've often felt like don't always fully understand what is funny about them, or like it's weird how much they rely on potty language when actually they're very talented boys and they should just rely on that instead. And I feel like I got old over the course of that sentence.
This is also a conversation that you and I have been having with each other for our entire relationship. So.
That's true. That's true. But I'm very excited to talk about it, including trying to figure out once and for all who did 1999's Bigger or Longer Uncut vote for in the 2024 election. We'll do all that and more when we come back after this break. Quick score update. Opening segment. Nate, you have 1 point. Ryan, you have 2 points. Let's get those scores up, boys. Let's start impressing me. We have South Park in many ways because of George Clooney, who emailed copies of The Spirit of Christmas, an early, very rough effort by South Park creators Matt Parker and Trey Stone, to his Hollywood friends. Clooney also conceived of and financed a plan to use a satellite to attempt to end genocide in South Sudan. Also, he was one of the only Democratic operatives to speak out about Biden's mental decline, and his 2024 op-ed was widely seen as the thing that forced Biden from the last race. Luckily, we're only here to talk about the first of those three things. After airing on Comedy Central for a few years, the four South Park boys were ready to sidle into theaters in 1999. Not knowing if this would be their swan song, Matt Parker and Trey Stone threw everything at the wall for this movie. Leaving the heights of South Park for the depths of hell, this movie sees America waging war on Canada because that was one of the most ridiculous things you could think of in 1999. South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was a huge success and made boffo in the box office, while sticking it to the very real villains of 1999. Saddam Hussein and censorship. Of the dozens of targets that South Park aims at, censorship seems to take the biggest hit. Does the movie's takes on what should happen to the virginal ears and eyes of children seem quaint today, Or does that still pack a punch and pie, Ryan?
I mean, I do think that this is something that we're supposed to be dealing with. I don't know if we are. I think that this is sort of pre-internet as we know it today,
Oh, yeah.
and pre-smartphones. And there's probably a point after that where parents were like, "Fuck it all. I don't go watch porn. I'm not telling you to watch porn, but I can't stop it, and I don't give a shit anymore. I
I do
can't."
have to say that is a great way to get a kid just to settle down for a little bit. Go up to your room and watch some porn.
But yeah, the whole parents' responsibility thing. It's not we can do whatever we want, and it's not our fault. Is something that I still think plays today. It's shitty, it's smarmy, but it also is true. And whether or not the parents take on that responsibility or they just leave it to the playground kids to talk about the birds and the bees and how those birds fuck those bees and sometimes shit on them, and
Why are birds and bees so nasty?
they're just gross, dude.
Nature's little horn dogs. Nate, what do you think about this movie's take on censorship? Is it kind of quaint by the standards of 2025?
I think it's mostly just observably functional as having flipped from one side to the other, right? Like when this movie comes out, the people doing the censorship are like Tipper Gore, right? And it's like, hey, we got to put labels on records. And in I don't recall exactly when in '99 this came out, but shortly after April, Columbine would have happened, and then everybody wants to censor Marilyn
this is
Manson
like
and video games and all sorts of stuff, right?
this is
We're
like
right
2 months
there.
later. I think.
Yeah, Joe Lieberman's coming out. Like it's a democratic cause to try to protect everybody. And in 2025, it appears to have, for at least 8 years, been a very conservative cause to say what people should and should not be exposed to and why they shouldn't. Although, we're in a constant debate about what is the thing that's not worth saying that we can't seem to agree with. So I guess there's the quaintness, right? That this is about what's the information that's presented to you through the monoculture, and is that good or bad? And now it's like, no, there's this hyper multiculture, and some people think that you shouldn't be able to say certain things, and other people think you shouldn't be able to say other certain things or do other certain things, and fuck if anybody can figure out how to actually talk about any of it, which makes this movie also accurate. Like nobody can still figure out how to talk about any of these things, and that's the moral of the movie.
Yeah, it's clear that this movie had no idea. I mean, obviously, it had no idea what was to come as far as language police and cancel culture, and two things that don't actually exist. No one has ever actually been canceled. No one has ever actually been arrested for their language.
It honestly feels like getting canceled can be pretty good for your career.
Yeah, I mean, you have to switch sides of the aisle.
Yeah, but it's so easy to do.
No, you're just like, oh, I voted differently than I said I did in my last comedy special. But I think it boils down to, in a movie that, wears its subtleties on its sleeve, I think it boils down to just a couple of lines, which are, let's blame Canada in the song Blame Canada. Let's blame Canada before they think of blaming us.
Yes.
That's the thesis of the movie. And then also there's a line, I want to say when Cartman's getting the V chip, maybe, that the violence, you can show whatever amount of violence you can. Like they knew this movie is tremendously violent. It's cartoony, and even in a cartoon movie, the violence comes off even sillier because they look like pieces of paper. But the violence will never matter as much as saying shit or fuck. And those two things I think are, those messages are trying to come across to parents of like, it's not that big of a deal, but completely missing the mark. No parent was ever like, huh, this movie's right.
Yeah. And like what children like were into South Park? I feel like South Park was always for like teenage and above.
The biggest controversy about South Park, doing research this week, because it was a long time ago, I barely remember. The biggest controversy was not this, and this shows you how long ago this was, is that it wasn't about any of the substance particularly, but the fact that it looked like it was for kids was what everybody thought was the most dangerous.
I mean, it was on like 11 p.m. on Comedy Central.
Yeah, people didn't like the idea of children saying the things they were saying, right? Because it theoretically sets a bad example and unravels everything. I think the problem that I have with the argument is that even though it is really like it's making a really cogent point about censorship, the way the movie is designed is to back away from following through with that point in any sort of meaningful way every single time it gets the chance, and
Hmm.
going back to doing kind of the potty humor sort of thing, which is fine. I mean that's what it has to do. Otherwise, it would cease to be a comedy.
Yeah, I just think that like we give them, like we put them on this pedestal, and they did too, right? There were some years between then and now where they talked about themselves in ways that probably they shouldn't have.
I mean, most episodes of the show South Park, this is what's kind of unique about the movie. Most episodes of the show South Park end with Stan and Kyle delivering like an expository speech about the meaning of the episode while like swelling music plays.
And my biggest issue with that is they're so often, if you are on either side of what we talked about in tonight's episode, then you're a moron.
Yeah.
And that basically you just have to be in the middle. And they say that they're against extremism, which is great, but I think that they get to the point where it's like if you have any opinion whatsoever, then you're kind of a moron wasting your time.
See, and I feel like most episodes of South Park do show that thing. Like both the extreme sides are ridiculous. This one, I feel like there's only really one bad side, right? It's like the extremism of the stupid parents who were
Yeah,
willing,
it's Sheila Broflovsky that is like
the ultimate bad guy. And so is there a way in which the movie is less nuanced than the show? Like, is there a lack of nuance in this that we're normally used to seeing out of them?
I suppose, like, I figured, well, at least my read on this rewatch was like most of the nuance lies in the metatextual nature of the argument, right? They're not just talking about censorship generally, they're also talking about the censorship that's been imposed on them since they started making their show. And
Yeah.
so there is this double layered kind of conversation going on that does make it richer as long as you're aware of that.
But like I do think that that's pretty well done, and I understand what you're saying, Nate. That like they can do it in hacky ways. And what I was saying before is that like they're not on this level of like saying, we're Gandhi or George Burns or any of the other people in hell. They are still creators of poop and dick jokes. But the way that I think it's structured so well is that the, the first song, the Quiet Mountain Town song, is like that's what is our scene setter, and everything is perfect, and the women or all the mothers are worried about their children,
You see homeless people, but you just don't care.
and then Terrence and Phillip comes out, and it ruins the town for the rest of the movie, and they never say Sheila Broflovsky ruins the town. It's Terrence and Phillip, and so is that whole? Are you putting how shitty the world is right now on South Park instead of your stupid asses? I think is pretty well done.
And let me ask you about the Terrence and Phillip. Like, what is their role? Because it's interesting, the whole movie has this metatextual thing where it is about this movie and it's about these two potty mouths, Terrence and Phillip. What are Terrence and Phillip? Why do you think they chose these two Canadian entertainers?
They're probably affordable. I think that
Easier to animate.
Yeah, that's true. Canadians, man, just those flappy heads. I think that it does speak to the fact that like don't come to South Park for your philosophies or your politics. Like this is how we see South Park is two farting twats,
Yeah.
They're also like Beavis and Butthead. There's a lot of cartoons at the time that was literally just this. So I think that this is another, and we're going to say this phrase so many times tonight, but this is having their cake and eating it too, is that
Well,
look how dumb this is and look at how dumb we are. But like now we get to have the fart jokes by saying how dumb they are, but we also think they're funny.
Well, and I think the other thing that's the having the cake and eating it too is they're saying that, hey, we're just fart jokes, but then they're also proselytizing through the entire last third of the movie, right? They're going to say like, yeah, and here's why you're wrong for doing what you're doing, and here's how all these people are stupid. I think that's the thing that's sort of tricky because it's playing in this sort of pool of intellectual cynicism of like literally no one else can be right, and the only people who are right are the people who see that everybody else shouldn't be arguing about anything.
I also kind of wondered if it's like them, because South Park is crass in the way that Terrence and Phillip are crass, but Terrence and Phillip, to our understanding, are not entertaining or funny in any realistic way. And I almost feel like it's their point that to highlight we're not just these guys. That like all that Terrence and Phillip are the dick and fart jokes. There's nothing else there. can't you see how we're more than that? Like we are more nuanced, we're more artistic. Like you are acting like we are Terrence and Phillip, but we're not. We're more like The Simpsons, which at this point was a widely accepted and loved franchise, but had already gone through its own process where NPR was like, "Is this going to ruin the kids? Are the kids going to see The Simpsons and then become bad like Bart?"
Yeah, and I mean, The Simpsons and South Park going on this trajectory of like huge first season where there's merchandise everywhere, and then it wanes, and then it becomes a different show.
Yeah.
You know, and like a more allegedly thoughtful show. I do think that the critics came around with South Park in about the same amount of time that they did with The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, oh, okay, we get it, and it's because of those messages. You know, I don't think Simpsons ever proselytize as much.
I think the writing on South Park got better through like seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like they started doing more challenging, expansive ideas that weren't just like, hey, this guy's a hunter and he's a redneck, and this guy, you know, they're still dealing in caricatures. And this movie is sort of trading on either you knowing who those characters are and being excited to see them in the movie. Kind of the way the Simpsons movie did, which is sort of weird that the Simpsons movie did the same thing, you know, 20 years into the show. But,
Yeah.
you know, trading on these characters rather than doing. I personally think the new characters they added to the movie are the better parts of the movie. And maybe that's my cynicism, but that's kind of where I sat with it because most of the newer characters weren't nearly as cringy as the ones that they trotted out for a single song or scene to just kind of be there.
And the amount of characters that are not in this movie makes you realize how old it is, or like
Tweak, Token.
Yeah.
Tweak, Token, Butters falls with
Butters
the
is hardly in it.
Randy Marsh, the greatest character in the history of South Park, is barely in it. But yeah,
And he's still very much a dad. He's not like the
not the fucking psychopath that all dads really are. But yeah, like you could see a different timeline where The Simpsons is called Springfield.
Yeah.
Like, this is called South Park, and then it's about this town that all of this crazy shit happens to. And like you said, Nate, the caricatures, like we're going to take these well-worn TV tropes and sort of lean into the tropes, but also sort of explore them otherwise. There's so much in common, and South Park eventually came out and said, guys, we fucking love The Simpsons. It's clearly our biggest
Yes,
inspiration of all
yeah.
time. Just never compare us to Family Guy.
It's funny because they have that famous episode where they talk about, The Simpsons did it. But watching this movie, it's interesting because the South Park movie came out like 16 years before the Simpsons movie, and it does things that the Simpsons movie then would come and kind of rip off from them. We see Big A Al's full dick and balls in this movie, and it looks exactly like Bart Simpson's dick and balls in the Simpsons movie. So South Park did it.
I did rewatch both scenes a million times. They look the same and they're on screen for about the same length.
Yeah, they look exactly the same. It's like 3 curves to make the dick and the balls. Well, you guys started talking about characters, and much like USA, characters are welcome here. They're especially welcome in our Dream Blunt rotation, which we're going to get to when we come back. Quick update on the score here. Nate, you got 10. Ryan, you got 10, but we're going to one of our mini segments here, and the scores can get a little out of hand. We're going to do Dream Blunt rotation here. We are going to go through this movie, South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. And who do we want to twist one up with, right? Who do we want to blaze with?
Can I just say that, like, this is the newest movie theater segment. I know we just did it, but the internet demand
they liked
a
it.
repeat.
They liked it. They liked it.
Are the three of us on everyone's Dream Blunt rotation just because of that segment?
Honestly, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback that we are.
I'm very good at sharing. I don't bogart.
So the order for this is going to be Ryan, Nate, Greg. Ryan, let's start with you. It's 4:15. You're grinding up some dank weed. Who are you hoping to twist one up and pass it to?
Is this janky? Is there stems and seeds? Or...
There's no stems or seeds because it's Southern California, so we've got real weed here.
Maybe I could wait on her, but I don't want to. The person that I've been wanting to talk to for my entire life and smoke out is the clitoris. She and I are going to get it on in so many ways. I have so many questions for her. I have to assume she has so many questions for me.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's like I'll figure out a way to get smoke into her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Maybe like it's like when you smoke out a dog. You just gotta like blow the smoke
Yeah.
around it and just hope if that works. We've talked about this before on the show, but the 90s are like obsessed with this idea of like you gotta find the clitoris. And I remember being a little boy and being like, okay, dude, you gotta find this thing. It's an exterior part.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Find her nose.
This is like, but it goes to show you this is like how limited our understanding of like the female reproductive organ is, that we were just like, I don't know, where's the clit? Dude, like you can't miss it. It's like,
I mean, do you know why everybody was talking about it in the 90s? Because they didn't know about it in the 80s.
I know.
They had no
Well,
idea.
because we were asking where the. Okay. I don't want to step on you, but yeah, where's the beef?
All right.
Nate, you did not step on me. There's no way in hell I was going to say that. So thank you.
Now, Ryan, you are a very forward guy. Are you at all afraid of hurting her feelings? I heard she's quite sensitive.
No, it'll be fine. I know how to duck and weave around her before I go right in.
Shout out to the movie Sinners. I think we're all very mindful of Sinners now.
And yeah, like that movie is about sticking tongues in coozes, if I remember correctly.
It is very much about that. All right, Nate, the clit is off the table. I'm sorry, my friend. I loved her like Glinda voice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
this ethereal wisdom.
I'm gonna tell you how
I mean,
it is.
but look, in fairness, the first time, it's kind of like that.
Where is this stuff? All right, Nate, who are you smoking with?
I gotta bring someone who I think is gonna be a good silent partner in
Okay.
the rotation.
That narrows it down.
And they're probably not gonna take too much. They're certainly not gonna take more than they deserve. I want Mr. Hat in the circle. Let's hang out.
Mr. Hat. Okay, I love that. Mr. Hat.
Who's now in hell, which was
Who's
adorable.
Now in hell, yeah. It's very interesting because if you guys are like me, and I get the sense we're all kind of the same here, which is like, I have so much knowledge of like seasons 1 through 3 of South Park and this movie. And so I feel like I know this property really well. The fact that there's like 20 more years of life to
I know.
it is very weird to me because it essentially ends with this movie
I watched
for me personally.
I watched so many more seasons, and I'm probably behind a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
same.
Did Mr. Hat, though, go away? Mr. Garrison.
yeah, and then he had like a stick for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, because he had Mr. Stick, and then he also had the guy in the like bondage costume who was his
Mr.
assistant.
Camp. And
Yeah.
and Mr. Garrison becomes Mrs. Garrison.
Yeah, Mr.
we-
Garrison transitions, I believe. Yeah.
Listeners, we don't know this show, so it's very much locked into just the first few years.
Did you guys rock any of the video games?
No, but I've actually heard that one of them is okay. The RPG one, the
Yeah,
Fractured Butthole.
Yeah.
I can't believe they allowed them to name it that. Fractured Butthole. That's a very clever name.
It is pretty
All
good.
right, so we've got the clit and Mr. Hat off the table, and I'm gonna have to go with another big sensitive one, which is Satan. I've always loved the take on Satan that South Park has, and it really is the most apparent in this movie. Just a big sweetheart, loves too much. I think, ironically, like too much of a people pleaser, is in a bad relationship, very, very problematic. We'll have a chance to talk about that relationship later. But like his song, Up There, so beautiful. I love his voice. He's like, the way he's built is hilarious. He's like, he reminds me of like, he reminds me of Fisk from comic books, Kingpin.
Yeah.
He's like hugely fat, but then it's all muscle for some reason. So Satan, I'm gonna go with Satan there. Now I'm gonna give us a point based on the first round. I think Ryan, we got to go with that, right? We got to go with that. The clit.
Get lit.
All right, now we're swinging around. It's me again. I have a second pick. I feel like we're gonna do 4 picks here. I hope you guys are prepared to do 4 picks. But I'm gonna give myself one more person here, and I just like. I mean this in a respectful way, but when Kenny's going to heaven, there are some topless big titty angels, and I don't know like what I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if like when I was a kid, I imagined like heaven is tailored to everybody, right? So if what your conception of heaven is,
What if that was everybody's heaven? Just tits everywhere.
so yeah, I'm gonna go big titty angels, BTA, big.
And you're locking them all down.
I'm locking them all down. Yeah. Maybe is that too much? Maybe one. I mean, I can't. How do you choose one? They seem to come as a group.
You need to take them all because otherwise the next 2 rounds are going to be
Big titty angel. That's the blonde one. There's one in the back. You can't see her too well. I got that one. All right. Nate, it's back to you.
All right.
A lot of good characters flying off the shelves here.
We already invoked The Simpsons earlier, so I want to have the opportunity to talk to a person who wrote on The Simpsons in some of my favorite seasons, who's also in this movie, and it's Conan O'Brien. Put him in the circle.
O'Brien. Voiced by who? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't.
Brent Spiner. Brent Spiner.
Beautiful.
Conan O'Brien, too expensive to get for the movie. Sounds too much like himself. When I heard it, I thought it was Jay Leno, to be honest. It sounded like someone doing a Jay Leno impression. But, okay, very good. Conan O'Brien. I love it. Ryan, back to you. Who do you got?
Now, this is going off the show a little bit more than I should be, but I can't not. I love Randy Marsh so much.
Yeah.
And I think that
I went through this myself thinking, yeah.
What happens that night when we smoke, him and me and the clitoris, it's going to be the greatest night of my life. So I know, like, if we have to base it on his 3 lines and he joins the army just to go to that sweet USO show, that's fine. It's, take whatever Randy Marsh you want, but him and me are smoking out.
That's cool. Yeah, Randy Marsh. I know it's you don't get the full Randy Marsh experience on this, but kids.
Oh, wait, was this a cartoon that like the kids were the main character, and then after a couple seasons, the dad becomes the main character?
Yeah, which sounds like something Randy Marsh would do on South Park. Okay, so let's see. We got Randy Marsh, Conan, and Big Titty Angels. That one's got to go to me with the Big Titty Angels. I scooped that one up.
I am shocked.
Yeah. Ryan, going around the horn here. Let's get your penultimate pick here.
Nate was talking about how much he loves the new characters, and the character of Christoph,
the mole.
Yeah. He has a line that there's just no way that I would say at the pod. I think it's his final line before he dies. But yeah, everything he had, I would love to just smoke him out and hear about his abortions that he remembers happening to him, and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, he says things that like you can only say either in French or with a French accent. Like things that are so dark and troubling, but then if you say them with a French accent, it kind of sounds poetic.
Things that rhyme with baguette.
Oh, man. Yeah, for a movie that's about language, there's a lot of canceled terminology in this movie. There's probably like 10 words said in this movie that we would not say anymore. But mole is not one of them. All right, Nate, back to you. Who are you smoking with Mr. Hat and Conan O'Brien?
Well, geez, I mean, I was gonna go with Zimol also, but off the board. So I'm gonna bring another celeb in because I think very talented. I am excited that she got a little bit of career revival with the Stranger Things, but I want to talk about the older stuff. So let's get Winona Ryder.
Ryder.
And are you bringing ping pong balls to your smoke out?
I mean, look, if something happens after a few hits, it's really not on anybody's agenda, but it can happen.
Apparently, she doesn't miss a hit.
Nate doesn't always have ping pong balls on him.
No. That is the weirdest joke in the movie.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, that one feels like at the USO show, Winona Ryder comes out and she does the classic like ping pong ball trick that is done at bars and
like done at This seems like something that's like exclusively done at bachelor parties or bars in New Orleans.
Yeah, and then she does have a ping pong paddle in between her legs, and I feel like that was like the one thing Paramount was like, please
don't have her shoot.
Just have the paddle down there.
Yeah, And I guess that like keeps it from being, I don't know. I like
It's strange.
it's a lot of film to get to that point. You know, like
yeah.
I'm not
it
sure.
goes on for a long time. It's a callback from the show, right? Like they reference that as being a thing multiple times on the show previous to the movie. They don't ever show it, and then this is like the payoff.
I think you can't overstate how much the movie is in conversation with the first 3 episodes or the first 3 seasons of the show. Most of it is like a reprise of something from the show. So yeah, it's like it's weird because the movie comes out after the first 3 seasons and that's all it is like referencing, but it's referencing it entirely. Like the Kyle's Mom is a Bitch, that's a song from the show.
But I would say unlike many Marvel projects, it's not an issue if you've never seen the show before you watch it.
No, it's not. It's just weird if you have seen like, or not weird. I don't know. It's just like it's so celebratory of just 3 seasons of the show. All right, so it's back to me here. Satan and the Big Titty Angels, which is that's I feel like that's gonna be a good group, even though kind of different sides of the track there. I'm gonna go with another character I have loved forever, and again, this is like as much to do with the show as it is to do with the movie, but he is in the movie. Big Gay Al.
Mm-hmm.
Just so fun. At one point during a song, he just goes, Skittles. Hell yeah, dude. I don't know. Like, yes. He was like, this is true. It's sad to say, but it is true. One of the first out and proud gay characters, like in animation history. You can't sweat him, never gets down, loves to shop at Merv's. Big Gay Al is going to be part of my rotation. He's probably going to also be having a martini. Remember, Al, it's not adding, it's multiplying when you've got weed and alcohol at the same time.
There's a solid 10 years of my life where if in a conversation there was a bit of silence, I would just shout Skittles.
Yeah, dude, it's a perfect one. It's perfect. The other one you could do that's really perfect is if from this movie is if everyone in a party walks away from you and just one other person, waiting one beat and then going, hey, I hate you, Kenny. It's just always a funny thing to do.
Is it the line in the Big Gay Al song? Is it in this tie that I bought at Vaughn's?
The little tie that I bought at Merv's.
Merv's. Okay.
Yeah, he's obsessed.
So not
with
local grocery store Vaughn's.
No, he's obsessed with the store Merv's, which I think is just a local clothing store in South Park. And for rounding it out, or no, wait, hold on. I have to see. Let's see. Okay, so we got the Mole, Winona Ryder, or Big Gay Al. I'm gonna give that one to Ryan with the Mole. Little hardcore kid. Why you like this kid? Of course he dies. So there's nothing we can do. I guess it all gets undone. Everything but Kenny dying gets undone. I love a movie that just completely undoes itself at the end. That way you don't have to worry about what happened.
Fish kills.
Yeah. How much better would it be if at the end of Inception it's like, yeah, it's a dream. Have a good night, everybody. It's a dream. He woke up. None of this happened. Tip your waitresses. And then for my last pick, this movie, I know it's just a joke, but it always makes me think, like, how could this be? We're going down to hell, Ryan. You referenced it. You see a Hitler, for sure. That guy's in
hell. Number one draft pick.
That guy's in hell. Mm-hmm. You see someone else, it makes sense that person's in hell. But then you see Gandhi. So I got two things here. One, obviously, you always want to smoke out with Gandhi any chance you get. I think he's already so peaceful that I think it would take, really to a Zen level. But second, Gandhi, what were you doing in hell, big guy? What's the story? You got to lay it on me. What have you been up to? Is this like the weird way you were towards women? Is that what did this?
Yeah, would you talk to him about his sleeping with his 14-year-old nieces and stuff like that?
If you notice when they show heaven, it's got like 1,500 people in it, and then when it goes to hell, it's got trillions of people, and the number's just going up. All right, so Gandhi rounding out my rotation with Satan, Big Titty Angels, Big Gay Al, and Gandhi. I love that group.
That's a party.
That's a great group. Ryan, or no, rather, I'm sorry, Nate. Excuse me, Nate. Goodness gracious. Back to you. You have Mr. Hat, Conan O'Brien, and Winona Ryder. Who else you got? Who's your last pick?
I'm going to go with someone who we know later smokes a lot, and his head gets even bigger when he does that. But he becomes really chill, so I'm going to go with Mr. Mackey.
Mr. Mackey.
Because we know he's got a tolerance, and we know that he'll be pretty chill when he's doing it, so I'm down.
As a podcaster, professional podcaster, Nate, would you work on the fact that he has this verbal tick of always saying okay after
Okay.
everything he says?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I it would be great to edit him all the time.
Just
And
Control F K.
his character is the kind where, there's a rumor of they had a teacher who did exactly that. And I actually had a math teacher in high school who did that. Who
Uh-huh.
did that same thing, who would say "okay" after
Okay.
every couple of sentences. So his character will always be in my heart.
I love it. I love it. All right, Ryan, who is your last blunt rotation member?
I okay. So with last, like I'm establishing a party, but what kind of party is it?
Dude, you got the clit and Randy Marsh. That's like the mole's gonna have to look away for a lot of this.
And I'm sorry, the mole, but it's gonna be that kind of party because I'm taking Cartman's mom.
Cartman's mom. Okay. I know she was the butt of a lot of jokes, but she seems like the most nice, normal person.
Well, no, I think that she has some mothering lessons to take because Cartman is the way that he is because she is so permissive.
Got to draw a boundary
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
But takes a duke on her face like no other.
All right. So that is Cartman's mom, Mr. Mackey, and Gandhi. I'm going to have to give that one to Ryan. And then let's see our final groups are Cartman's mom, the mole, Randy Marsh, and the clit for Ryan, Mr. Mackey, Winona Ryder, Mr. Hat, and Conan for Nate. And then, of course, Satan, the Big City Angels, Big Gay Al, and Gandhi for me. And that's your winning team right there, everybody. Those are the people that you should have drafted. Well, we are going to puff pass on to the next segment. And when we come back, we're talking more about South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Score update. Nate, you're still at 10. Ryan, you've gone up to 13. Wow, we got a real barn burner here. South Park's dirty words got the press, but it was the musical aspect that became the most influential. Matt and Trey brought in Hollywood composer Mark Shaman to help with South Park, but South Park gave them the training to go on to Book of Mormon. How does South Park play as a musical today? Are the songs and scenes more than just parodies of Belle, Part of Your World, and Les Mis? Nate, what do you think of the music?
I think the music is remains pretty clever, and it is catchy. Like, I'll give it that. I don't always think the content is as interesting as it might have been when I was younger, but they're well done. Like,
That sounds
well
like
done
faint
songs.
praise. Are you
Yeah,
damning
it's faint
this?
praise. I'm faintly praising it. Like, I think that I most resonated with the Quiet Mountain Town song. I think that's great. I think it's a very good way to open and close. Like, it shows cognizance of how to open and close a musical, and then we're hitting a lot of high points. I think maybe Brian Boitano might be the best song. I don't know. That's kind of where I sit with it. But
Ryan, you're the podcast's musical guy, non-derogatory. What do you think of this as a musical?
I think it's absolutely wonderful, Greg. This is banger after banger after bop after banger. I've got
Bangers and bops.
bangers and bops. I've got one that I might sort of shit on, but overall, excuse me, I think that all of these songs are. This is damning with faint praise. So much better than this movie deserves, or so much more than you would expect. And again, another thing that I did not remember from the release of this movie is that at no point in any advertisements for this movie did they, which is a trend now with like the Mean Girls remake and stuff, did they say that there was going to be music in this movie?
I remember this so clearly. There was like a series of commercials. And then the very first thing that happens in the music is in the movie is a music number.
Which there could be a movie that just does a musical opening number and that's it.
But then it is a musical. And I remember it took a while for people to get used to that because nobody expected that. So I went back and I watched all the commercials again. And there is exactly one shot in one of the commercials where you can tell that the kids are supposed to be dancing. It's when they the two rows of them go up on the chair and they come back down. They're doing like an actual dance move. That's the only indication. They fucking hid that this was a musical. They did not want anybody to know this.
But I think it's so Disney-fied in a, I think, like Nate said, clever way. I think that like it's we understand what they're making fun of, but it also is a good job at being itself.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's perfect. I think that the musicality is the best part of the movie, and I do think, or I can see that they did it back then as a parody of animated movies, and with hindsight, we can see that this is just in their bones. Like
Yeah.
they can't not.
I mean,
Yeah, I was
they
gonna
had
say it's a situation where they aren't maybe confident enough at this point in their careers to say, "Hey, we want to do something more than what we've been showing you." So they do it, but they bury the lead. And then it turns out that yeah, no, you actually are good at musicals and you clearly like musicals and here's a musical, right?
yeah.
And then it introduces a bunch of people who don't think they like musicals because they think they just want dick and fart jokes. It's like, "Oh wait, a musical can be for me too," which is cool. I mean, the Les Mis sort of riff is excellent. Like I yeah.
And one or both of them actually was a music major in college, right? Like I know that's not the same thing as like being a composer.
Right. Their first movie was a musical, Cannibal the musical. It has
Mhm.
musical right in the title of
That's
the movie.
true. Yeah, you'd have to know that.
And like South Park, I'm trying to remember the first three seasons, but there was
There
like
are songs.
Mr. Hanky sings, right?
Yeah, it's like, and that's why I agree the idea that there could be like when you're watching it the first time ever and you see there's a song, you're not necessarily thinking this is a musical because I would say like once every 3 episodes they would sing a song. Again, that my friend Kyle's mom's a bitch. That's from the show.
But and in the movie, it's it feels like the $1 million budget.
Yes, it really is.
And like to go from the Mr. Hanky theme song to La Resistance, a medley, which I will tell you is fucking hard to
Yes.
do. You have to have that in your mind from the beginning and write songs around that.
And then you've got like the leitmotif going through everything because you can hear the strains of the other songs. Like when characters come on, you can like hear their song.
exactly. And you're being moved as if you were on Broadway by these paper cutouts. That's where I think Shaman came in, and I bet he did. I have no idea, but I bet he did his most help on La Resistance.
Yeah, I could see that. I found also, I noticed this time and I don't know if this is like a real thing or not, or I was just making this up, but I felt like I noticed that the recording sounded like the space sounded almost like a theater. Like it really sounds like going to a live show. And there's something about the music and the recording quality that feel that way. Did you have either of you ever in the past, or could you see yourself bumping the soundtrack? How about you, Nate? I mean, you seem like a little underwhelmed by this music. Were you ever a soundtrack guy for this movie?
I mean, it's definitely all stuff that I heard a lot, and I never owned the soundtrack myself. I would listen to it because it is catchy. I think all the songs are well composed. It's just sort of a thing of like I would listen to it in headphones. I probably wouldn't listen to it, blaring, especially now.
I have to say, I recommend listening to it with headphones, or I recommend listening to it in a car. You know, the old test of like a song, does it really perform? You can tell if you're in the car, because they said when this movie came out, it's kind of a parody of musicals, obviously, but also they wanted it to be a whip-ass musical. And it really is musically, it's a very satisfying, like not just the songs, but the score of the movie, like is really well realized and thought out and interesting and like always popping off. The score, this is like a Star Wars or something. Like the score is always doing something interesting.
And like they've talked so much about how they write stories and how important story and structure is to them, and how they don't fuck around with anything that isn't vital. And the best I could come up with as far as non-vital song is Mr. Mackey's song, but there's still some plot movement and character movement in there. Otherwise,
it gave us the most obscene like stand-in for a dirty word. Asshole is not that dirty. Buns hole is the grossest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. If somebody said you're a buns hole to me, it's on like Donkey Kong.
But yeah, I think that people have bullshit problems with musicals, and every time somebody says they don't like musicals, I roll my eyes because they're trying to be manly as opposed to like have a cogent thought. But sometimes the problem is that you've just paused the movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that never happens here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of energy. And if they said to me, we're going to take our animation style and make a musical out of it, I would say, okay, I'm not worried about the music part. I'm worried about the visuals.
Yeah, like we like dancing and
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah, like you are going to perform these numbers and we're going to watch the cardboard circles like move around on the screen. But they pull that off, don't they? Like, isn't the presentation of the songs done very well in the movie?
Yeah, I think that La Resistance sort of loses some steam because it has to go into the 4 screen showing everybody.
When did the song become a marathon?
Yeah, and then now we have all of the people singing the songs in their different parts of the songs. But for the most part, I mean, them running up on chairs during Mr. Mackey's song, like it's they spoke to their strengths.
That was fun as shit. I thought that was a fun touch. This movie actually was nominated for Best Song, and the song was Blame Canada. Do either one of you remember Robin Williams performing Blame Canada at the Oscars?
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
That was such
Yeah.
a big moment. Do you know the backstory behind that at all?
I do.
Did he know he was going to perform it?
Because he's not great.
Because he's bad. He doesn't know the words, and he's just like he's just not wearing a costume. It's just like he's like wearing a suit.
But yeah, I mean, do you guys know the whole backstory of the lady who did all the female voices?
Oh, is this right around the time that she
Yeah.
died, or
Yeah.
she took her life? Right.
Right. She severe anxiety. So like, I don't think it happened before the Oscars, but like, there's no way that her anxiety would let her perform at the Oscars. So they went and got Robin Williams, and then she ended up killing herself not that much after.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And they had to go and get like 6 different voice actors to be all the female characters because nobody could like handle all of them like she did.
I remember that, and it was a weird couple of episodes getting used to all the new people because she was basically all those roles. Wow. Well,
If I could real quick,
please
the
do.
one that, and like this is the part of the movie that like bothers me the most, I think, is just I love Kenny and I love Satan. And I think the hardest part about watching this movie again is
that's got to be what I clip for this. I love Kenny and I love Satan.
the inclusion of Saddam Hussein in this movie in a B plot. It does get annoying. And then his song, a song that I remember liking as much as the other ones, does get annoying. It's got what they think is Middle Eastern music in the background, and it's got his voice singing.
This is the only time where
I care the least about.
Yeah. This is like the closest I felt like the movie got to being racist. Like not just like putting racist words into the kids' mouths, but actually being racist. It seemed to be like everything about this relationship. And honestly, I would love to talk more about that relationship, but not right now, Ryan. Not right now. What I would like to do is I would like to talk briefly about the movie Toy Story 2 when we come back. It's time for a score update. Nate, you've got 14. Ryan, you've got 19. The other movie we're talking about tonight is Toy Story 2. The Toy Story gang is back and ready to live drama-free until that chubby guy from Seinfeld who did computer for Jurassic Park, an actor with the improbably cool name of Wayne Knight, steals Woody with the intention of selling him overseas for big money. The Toy Story crew, led by Buzz Lightyear, springs into action, risking life, I guess, and articulated limb to save a Woody who may not want to leave his new friends, who are ironically his old friends. Jessie, a lady Woody mentally dealing with long periods of isolation. Stinky Pete, a prospector who only thinks inside the box. And Bullseye, a horse that isn't just a horse, but doesn't speak, so I guess is still kind of like a lesser being compared to the other speaking toys. Woody, Buzz, and the others goof around, fighting for their freedom and challenging our notions of free will, agency, the passage of time, and other deeply philosophical concepts. Specifically focusing on the passage of time, what does Toy Story 2 say about nostalgia? Nate?
It says that nostalgia is really couched in the era that it comes from.
Okay.
Like Woody exists, and this movie establishes that Woody's like in his mid to late 40s at very least, right? If he was on TV in the 50s and it's 1999, he's our age, and so he is experiencing a midlife crisis, and that's what the movie's about, right?
He sure is.
And what is nostalgia if not a midlife crisis manifest in believing that the time before was better than the time after could ever be?
I also think that like this is the movie that shows us on the screen, specific type of us, and that there's good nostalgia and bad nostalgia. There's eBay nostalgia,
Okay.
which is like you are making a profit from something that should be so genuine. And back then in '99, it's sort of all we knew was like, if we didn't talk about it that much, we didn't think about it that much. It was just nostalgia. It was a nice little feeling you might have, like melancholy. And now it's like, how can we take every single dollar from everybody on Earth with nostalgia as like our carrot?
Yeah. It's interesting because there's different views of nostalgia in this, right? There's the view of Woody where he's like really going down memory lane, meeting Prospector or meeting Stinky Pete and meeting Jesse. They immediately begin to like reenact their old show. And it's this weird tension where it's like Woody is a being that happens to like look like a toy, and then also he like is kind of the character that he portrayed. Like he's like there's all these levels of reality and unreality, and he is like putting himself into a fictionalized version of his past. That's not the same kind of nostalgia that Al from Al's Toy Barn has.
Yeah, I always think it's fascinating to talk to boomers. Let me finish. Because anything specific about their lives is awful. They'll talk about their abusive parents,
Sure,
and fucking how everything was terrible. But when they talk about it in general, it was the best time, and we have to return to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we have here is that, and the reason that they think that is not because of their lives; it's because of the fucking TV that portrayed what the boomers' life was like.
Yeah.
Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and all this stuff. And so now we see Woody watching TV replacing memories. Like he's like, oh God, this was so great when I did this thing that I never did, but I see it on TV, so therefore it's real.
Yeah. It's so interesting because Woody spends the first movie getting Buzz to wake up to the fact that he is not Buzz Lightyear.
And he goes the other way.
And then in the second one, he goes back and he starts to convince himself he is Woody. And then we see Buzz Lightyear like dealing with not just now I understand that I'm a toy, but then he has to deal with himself, a version of him. I was surprised by all those different layers watching it this time. I was very delighted. I love when reality and hyper reality and meta reality are all sort of like mixed together in the way that this movie portrays them.
Yeah, I mean, this movie opens on a Buzz Lightyear commercial or TV show
Video
episode. Game. Video game,
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. On a video game where we are, and that's another layer of this same thing, right? Like
I
they're
agree,
playing
totally.
as a character within within a narrative where they're all characters who are pretending to be toys when they're not. But I think like Woody's experience mirrors more closely a movie that you name checked kind of when you were choosing episodes for this season, but Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, which is about becoming so absorbed in a role that you're playing that you completely lose connection with reality, and other people are losing connection with reality around you, and identity ceases to be a fixed thing. So, and that's really what this movie is all of their identities aren't fixed, including Wayne Knight is both like a toy collector, but he's also this weird kind of chicken man that he clearly takes on the identity for the commercials. Like he's living that character.
And I love, just to decide, I love how when they're filming a commercial that will be played ad nauseum, advertisement nauseum, he is so sad about losing the toy.
Yeah, dude.
Sad in the commercial.
He can't even buck up for the commercial.
But going back to Nate, what you said, I totally agree with what you said about Perfect Blue.
Oh, wow. That is such aggressive. He's aggressively trying to get points. I love what you said about Perfect Blue, Nate, and I wish that we had an opportunity to watch it. It's just 16 movies it's a lot of movies, but it's not enough to capture your perfect blues.
Going back to another 1999 movie that we just covered is The Matrix. Buzz in the toy store is Neo once he becomes clear, walking around all these other people who are inside the Matrix.
Okay, see, but here's what's weird. Here's how the movie really fucks you. The Buzz Lightyear who still thinks he's Buzz Lightyear has the confidence of a Buzz Lightyear who is Buzz Lightyear.
Right.
And his confidence, although unearned, although fictional, causes him to really achieve what he needs to achieve. His belief in himself. And this is like the nature of confidence. It doesn't have to be earned. Confidence is a thing unto itself. and it is like a force that will propel you. And that's like, it's so weird in a movie about how we are sometimes hemmed in by fictions. We see the Buzz Lightyear that thinks that he is still the actual guy.
And like a typical white man, he fails upward.
He
Everything accidentally
first.
everything accidentally happens for him. And then
The confidence is a force that, much like in the Phantom Menace, binds things together and is manipulated by extracellular aliens.
And then our Buzz, who is self-actualized, is now a fucking pussy bitch because he has looked inward and seen who he actually is.
But it's so, I love this fucking movie. He uses the reality in the same way that the other Buzz uses the unreality to propel him. Our Buzz does use the reality. He does have good moves. He knows what his abilities are, and he uses them very effectively. So he knows his wings can't actually help him fly, but he's super agile and he jumps around.
And then what I love with anybody who's ever done any work on themselves, through themselves, about themselves, at the end, Zurg is playing catch with not our Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
And our Buzz Lightyear's like, all right, go get him, rascal, and like rolls his eyes. Bitch, you're a toy too. You're exactly the same, but because you've thought a little bit, you think you're better than.
Here's what really baked my noodle watching this time. And I don't know if we talked about this last time. I don't think we did. The font for Al's Toy Barn is the font for Toy Story. It's like the same color palette. It's the same font. Is there a meaning there? Is this movie at all skeptical of being a sequel? At all worried about being a sequel? Or like in any way feels like that being a sequel betrays itself in any way, Nate?
The movie, I mean, the movie's totally aware it's a sequel, right? It's aware it's a movie in a way that the original was not. The original plays it straight. This movie ends with, 10 minutes of bloopers and outtakes that are intentionally constructed to give the illusion that, oh, these are all actors. This is actually, Woody's an actor. And I don't know, is Tom Hanks inside Woody? Is that the implication? We don't know. We don't have to get into that, right?
Or is it Tom Hanks' brother who does all the voices for Woody now?
Oh, yeah! Dom Hanks?
But yeah, I mean, it's so talking to the idea of what the first movie was, and it's kind of talking to like all of the ideas about what imagination play is, right? Because they're playing with each other in the same way that they're also sort of existing. I mean, Stinky Pete's whole thing is being kind of the, I don't know, like the adult constraint.
Yeah,
he's sort of like the movie producer version of the movie that's like, hey, look, there's a profitable way to do this.
Yes,
and there's a way that this should just go. And I have a very limited, as you said, he thinks inside the box. Like he doesn't want to exist in a greater world in a way that the rest of the movie is like pressing at the boundaries of what a movie is.
I think he wants to freeze time. I got thinking about like what is really going on between Stinky Pete and Woody. Like what is like not just the toy stuff, but like what are they talking about in life? And I think it's this, that the passage of time is like tragic, right? It's very hard for us to deal with the fact that things change, kids grow up, old people die. And so we dream of a world behind glass. We dream of a world where moments are preserved forever, right? But then we also have to understand that the stuff of life is to be moving through time.
Yeah. And I think that a weaker movie, let's say done by Universal, the fucking Minions shit, then they would have had Stinky Pete or Jesse. And the fact that we get both of them bouncing off of each other, where Stinky Pete's whole thing is villainous of, like, I want to live forever is, you're going to be, if we dig down deep enough to somebody who wants to live forever, they're a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, eventually we'll get there. Whereas Jesse wants what Stinky Pete wants, but not for the same reason. It's to find love again.
Yeah.
Good guy. So we get both of those trails at the same time. I have
one... Jesse represents like an immense amount of trauma, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
she's dealing with like, I've been in the dark where nothing, like there is no, she's in total isolation and she's completely like just destroyed by that. Whereas, it's
dark.
Stinky Pete's problem. Yeah, it's very dark, and yeah.
The hardest I laughed, it's South Park or Toy Story 2, was Woody turns around and says, "You are Stinky Pete." What a fucking winner! I remember Jesse's story being so traumatizing that it turns out that at the end of the song that she's just left by like recyclables, right? She's just like donated in a box, and it's awful. It's horrifying. It's an incredible. I think it rivals the first 10 minutes of Up. that whole segment. But in my head, she was the owner of or she was owned by a little girl who took her to a park, and the little girl got kidnapped and murdered. That's why it was so sad.
That is dark. Yeah.
I was wrong.
That would be the next level meta to add.
Okay, I just have one last question, and this is the Toy Story movies make me think mostly about philosophical things, and a lot of them have to do with what is the reality for the toys. So here's my number one question about the whole Toy Story universe. Do the toys decide to become inert when they understand they are being viewed by people, or are they driven into that state the second they are perceived by somebody?
I think that they're protecting a secret society.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I think they decide.
So it's not instinctive. It's not like a spider sense thing where because could they be observed from a distance moving around and cavorting in the way that we, the viewers, see them?
I think that Woody's a successful attempt to save Wheezy at the beginning is fucking asinine and could have brought the whole thing down. Like the fact that he jumped out of that window at a garage sale with a bunch of people out there, that was
he could have blown up the whole spot for
Yeah.
toys all over the world.
Right.
Yeah,
Secondary
he's very
question.
irresponsible, but he's going through a midlife crisis. He sees himself in this. He has to go rescue himself. He can't control it.
The toys are very clearly in hell based on the fact that they are not like humans, not supposed to have souls, but we do. Whoopsies, right? Shouldn't the toys say we are sentient beings? We need representation in government. We need basic rights. We need to be not left in a dark room for 30 plus years. If they can choose to make themselves known to us, why are they not doing that?
I don't know who's writing Toy Story 5. I just don't want it to be Greg. That's all I know.
This is literally the stuff I think about every time we talk about Toy Story. I'm just like, okay, wait. So are they when do they become alive?
Mm-hmm.
Is it after they're fully assembled? Is that when they become alive? I think, honestly, the series is meant to be appreciated.
Would all 4,000 of those Buzz Lightyears acted the exact same as the one our Buzz Lightyear
right?
that we got?
Are they just clones, or
Or is it like Mickey 17, where some of them are passive, some of them are really angry?
I'll say this:
Yeah, it's like a Boba Fett, Jango Fett sort of situation.
Once you start the clock, they all become different right away. I think even if they started the same seed, every moment is a sliding doors moment.
Let's settle down, Bill Maher. Let's not start the clock.
When we come back, that's all we're going to say about Toy Story 2. I don't want to hear a GD thing about
It sucks, though.
Toy Story 2 because we are eager and ready to return to South Park. But first, let's get a score update. Great segment, Nate. You're up to 27 points. Ryan, you are looking at 28. Wow. I'm not even trying to make this happen. This is a very close game. When we come back, we're getting back to South Park. Not only do we get to see Big Gay Al's performance at the USO show, but one of our central relationships is, I guess, homosexual. We also get a couple of F-bombs, the bad F-bombs. How does South Park's approach to homosexuality feel 25 years later, Ryan?
I mean, I think that the handling of Big Gay Al and Satan and Saddam are very different. There's almost nothing made fun of the fact that they are both trending male, Satan and Saddam.
That they were both male presenting, you mean?
Male presenting, thank you. Trending is they're both male branded.
Yeah, they're both male pilled.
Getting so many clicks on this maleness we're putting out there.
I'm totally boycotted and man pilled.
And then Big Gay Al is so big and gay that it does feel like two wildly different things. The jokes about being gay, I just think that they've always been a little bit more inclusive. If we go past the movie, two other characters that aren't in this are Timmy and Jimmy, two handicapped kids who.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That joke was never supposed to be about anything that other Family Guy would make fun of, you know?
Yeah.
Mostly what I got from here. The F-bomb drops were punchlines.
Yeah.
But one of them I laughed really hard, so I don't know what to say.
There is this, so there's a lot of pro-gay content. I would even say almost kind of sweet and in a weird way complicated. The relationship between Satan and Saddam, they're are talking about real issues. You know, like they have like a dynamic relationship that's bad, obviously. I do feel like the joke is on Saddam. Like, I don't feel like the joke is on Satan for being gay, but I do kind of feel like it's supposed to be an own of Saddam Hussein that he is gay. Is that
Yeah.
me reading into that, or do you think that's true?
No, I think that's true. I think that's part of my problem with it is I do think like there are positive aspects to it, but it's this very late 90s way of approaching homosexuality as this is a thing that we all agree is here and it's okay, but we're also going to make fun of it. We're going to talk out of both sides
Yes.
of our mouth the whole time, right? So like Big Gay Al is both like a very positive character, but he's as much of a caricature of a gay person as someone can be.
I mean,
And
like people who like actors on In Living Color would be like embarrassed by how flamboyant this portrayal is.
yeah, I'm saying, and like, and the same sort of thing. Like after watching this, my wife and I were talking about it, and it's like, you know, it's intentional to make both Satan and Saddam Hussein gay, and it does connect gayness to two not positive characters in history. And especially when like a lot of people who believe being gay is wrong, they're going to associate it with Satan and Satanism. So there is a problem there that it's like even if there is something tongue in cheek happening, we're still using the same language as the people who aren't doing the tongue in cheek thing. I do think it's more intended to be an own of Saddam Hussein, like ha ha ha, this guy's evil and he's also gay and gay is bad in his use.
And he's like
and I
super
think
horny gay. He's the type of
Right.
gay who always wants to be having gay sex.
Yeah, yeah, and so yeah, it's kind of like it where it's trying to work, where it's doing something that's almost accepting by being inclusive. It's also it's kind of doing an inclusive by reservation sort of thing where it's like, hey, you get a spot, but it's also going to be a spot on our terms and in this very small territory, and it's not going to allow you real nuance or complexity. You're going to get to have like a bitchy relationship conversation. You're not going to get to just like live your lives and be productive members of society kind of thing.
See, I do in a weird way think though that they actually do have real.
Like a complex relationship.
I kind of do like. Okay, Saddam
Well,
is a
Satan,
really
Satan
big-
wants to. Yeah,
Yeah.
Satan wants to. Satan wants to have a complex relate. I'll give you that. Like totally. Like all of Satan's stuff is very like while it's rote and it's a little cliche, like
You
the
know what it-
conversations he's trying to have are very like in the any wife in any sitcom in any bed reading a magazine going like, "Hey husband, I just read this quiz. Can we talk about why you don't feel like talking to me?"
No, Satan, I want to fuck.
But their relationship, it kind of reminded me of
Don't point at me. And... What the fuck?
the Joker, the People's Joker.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching the People's Joker, and in that she gets involved in like a very problematic relationship, and I remember thinking at the time, you know, we only get. I feel like we only get straight characters, or still in this day and age, I feel like we still only get like the moral exemplar gays. You know, the gays who are like they have a perfect relationship and
Right.
they are like have all their shit together. And we don't get like the messy, sloppy, in bad situations, even though they shouldn't be. Like Satan strikes me as that kind of dynamic person who ends up for whatever reason in a relationship with just a complete shitbag.
But-
And that's like a gay thing, it's a straight thing, it's like a timeless thing.
Like the way that I look at it, and I don't know if this is fair, but the way that I look at it is I just disregard everything about Saddam in this movie, and I just focus on the character that I deeply care about for some reason, which is Satan. Go ahead and clip that as well.
It's very Paradise Lost, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Our second most sympathetic Satan.
and what he's going through, and having Kenny take over the B story with like being his therapist almost, I do think is really funny.
Kind of through the situation.
Yeah.
And I have to say, if you really want a picture of what the average person thought about gay relationships in the 90s, a movie that both is like gay people are here, they're real, and they have the real problems that everybody else does, and we
Get
should
used
just
to it.
celebrate them. And then also calls bad things gay, drops both of the bad F-bombs. That was the fucking 90s, where we were like becoming more socially permissible. And we were, of course, we wanted like so many of the average people you met wanted like more gay rights, more gay inclusion. And then if something was bad, they called it gay. That was the 90s. I mean, like even in 99, that is exactly where we were.
Now the three of us, we're just gonna start calling those things white. It's so
Yep.
fucking white, man.
Uh-oh, it's time for a speed round. A war between the U.S. and Canada. Is this a amazing prediction, or was this just bound to happen?
I mean, they love The Simpsons, right? Which means they love predicting things like The Simpsons.
The Simpsons may do it one day. I guess it's just like America is an asshole nation full of total pricks. And so I guess it's just like, yeah, like we're going to go to war.
Can we return to a question of yours from previous?
I'll allow it, of course.
Ooh.
That's ultimately why the dealing with war, and I do think that, as Truffaut said, there is no such thing as an anti-war movie. This movie makes war fun, and even has a USO show before it. Like, there's a pre-war party in this movie.
On the USO show, like a few entertainers before a nasty execution.
I mean, the USO show here reminds of the one in
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse
Thank
Now,
you.
yeah.
Jeez, my brain's broken. But yeah, prominent USO show in that.
Yeah, and I just think that like this movie's feelings towards war and violence and how it is actually worse than bad words makes me think that it did vote for Kamala.
Yeah, okay. That because like the being canceled, all the language and stuff, I was like, I don't know. I could imagine 1999 South Park going on Theo Vaughn's show, right? This movie listens to Joe Rogan, doesn't it? So when it goes into the box, it's just the movie alone in the voting booth. Is it really voting for Kamala?
I think so. I think so.
I ultimately, I got it right. You got to imagine.
Although I guarantee you that there's 51% of this country who watches this movie and says, "Oh, they're Trump voters."
That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
I know. I can imagine guys who grew up watching this show just like us, and then developing the mindset that like nobody should tell you can't say certain things. There are 10 words in this movie you should not say. You shouldn't say these words. And if you say them, you should get canceled for saying them. I do believe that. And I think that the movie says that that's a ridiculous notion, that you should be able to call things the R word. You should be able to call somebody the F words.
I think this movie also kind of says like, hey, it is funny to just bully Canadian people. Like it is. The news interview that's in that movie mirrors the stuff we're seeing now, where like a press conference is somebody asking a question and just being berated with a repetitive soundbite and not allowed to talk.
Is that me finished?
I'm finished.
Any basketball fans in the house?
Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Huh? Are we talking basketball? Anybody want to talk about a little bit of Orgasmo?
Orgasmo was good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Basketball, I am still a huge defender of.
Remember when Jenny McCarthy sucks all the chrome off that tail hitch?
She's
Yeah.
got, like
Yeah.
silver.
She's got
all
it
over
all over her mouth because she's been doing it.
Do you remember what a bad idea it was to have dozen egg night at the gym?
Yes.
I honestly think basketball would be fun to play.
And no, it is. I bet it would be for sure. Add a trampoline too, like just for extra fun. But it's notoriously one of those movies that has one of the best 10-minute openings of all time.
Yeah, I remember it having like extreme peaks and then a lot of valleys. But at its funniest, like there's a good.
Well, most of its valleys are the same place a lot of sports movies valleys are, where it's like we're adding drama. Everybody came to watch the sports, and they're like, we got to drag these characters out. No, you don't have to.
What other Comedy Central shows from back in the day could have used their own wide theatrical release? Wow. Ryan, let's start with you.
How did you not give me time to prep for this? Dr. Katz.
Oh my God, that's such a good answer. Oh, I would love. I'm talking
good answer.
Wide theatrical release. I'm talking like
with Squiggle Vision.
Yes, but it's Squiggle Vision, but also they're like doing the 3D modeling that they did.
So Squiggle, you have 3D glasses, and the Squiggle Vision goes out and in, but also front and back.
Oh man, I love it. What do you say, Nate?
I was gonna say, why not do another one of their things and give us a "That's My Bush" wide theatrical release film, right?
I said to my wife the other night, "Do you remember That's My Bush?" And she was like, "Yes." Do you guys remember?
But she said yes in a way that indicated that like she had not thought of
no,
that,
no.
and he had basically almost forgotten it until you said it.
There's no amount of social media, like being on, like scrolling through social media or whatever, to remind you of
Yes.
That's My Bush.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Comedy Central's Secret Stash, where they would play rated R movies uncut, like at late times in the night?
Yeah. You can see boobs.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You
That's
could
great.
See you could see legit boobs.
Also, I was always disappointed we never got a UCB movie.
Dude, that would be pretty good. I also would have taken a Strangers with Candy. But Dr. Katz, that's such a good one. That's such a good one. When we come back, it's time to give this movie some awards. Time for a score update. Nate, you have 32 so far. Ryan, you have, that looks like 35. Whew, okay, 35 to 32. It's getting close. This movie did receive one Oscar nomination for Best Song.
Ryan.
That of course went to Phil Collins, the Tarzan song.
That we all remember and play regularly.
Yes, the one that we all. You would know it to hear it. You'll be in my heart, and I'll be in a tree.
Okay, we went different.
Because it's Tarzan.
Yeah.
So he's in a tree.
But we were talking about South Park so far.
Man, that Tarzan's so good at moving around in those trees. I know we're not talking about Tarzan right here, but I watched it recently, and he's like just scooting through those trees, man.
You guys like George of the Jungle, though? He's pretty cool.
He moves just through the vines. Tarzan, he's running along the trunk. He's like kind of like somehow like surfing kind of on the.
Was that the movie with Brendan Fraser? Who was always like,
sure is, yeah.
The trees are calling.
Niles. Okay. This movie, though, we got to get it some awards. It didn't win the Oscar. We wanted to win some of these moodies. Pound for pound performance. Nate, who gives us your pound for pound performance?
I mean, it's hard to pass up on maybe the hardest to find, but most important pound for pound performance in the whole film. It's the clitoris. Come on. It shows up, gives them the guidance they need.
And this is pre-Wicked. And yet we were getting some Glinda here. So
yeah, we were still getting it. Okay, the clitoris. I love that. Ryan, what do you got?
I feel like saying Trey Parker is a little bit of a cheat because it's 50.
He played half the character.
So I'm going to say Trey Parker, but specifically Satan. The way that he is still so funny, but still so heartbreaking the entire movie. Incredible performance.
If it is
Satan.
If it is the goal of movies, which this is what our Christian brothers and sisters believe, if it is the actual avowed goal of movies to make people love Satan, this movie is the ultimate realization of that goal. You come out of this movie aware of two things. One, censorship is bad. Two, Satan, probably pretty cool. Like, honestly, maybe you want to smoke dope with him.
The I Want song that is typically the second song in any Broadway musical is the 12 song, like 90 minutes or an hour into this movie, and it's given to Satan. That's how you do musicals.
And it gets all rocky at the end. It's so good. He's hitting some notes. All right. Very good. I'm giving that one to Ryan. Director's signature. Ryan, where do you see the deft hand of the director in this movie?
I think that a lot of tonight we've been talking about, like, are they Jon Stewart, like comedians, but like also teaching us how to be people, or are they just jokesters, or are they I think that the Trey Parker moment is, oh, I bet this movie has crappy animation, and then it cuts to them walking in profile down the street
for like 10 seconds.
He can't help himself make those jokes.
What do you say, Nate?
I was gonna go with actually going to like the heaven hell set piece, where suddenly you're getting a lot of CG, you're getting a lot of like, we're gonna ratchet everything up to show like, hey, you're in a big movie now, and it's animated, but it's more animated than it's ever been.
It reminds me a little bit of Beavis and Butthead. They did the same sort of thing, like with something when there's like electric guitar and you're falling through something. It's like, wow, this is wide release, everybody. Nate, who is the voice singing in that part?
Oh, I don't know.
The Going to Hell. Ryan, who is it?
Brent Spiner.
It is not Brent Spiner. You know who it is. You still
it is the lead singer of Metallica, James Hetfield.
James Hetfield. And you
all right.
you can hear them cutting out or trying to like drop off his yes on everything. You can still kind of hear them, but you can tell they're like turning him down right at the end of every word, so he can almost not do it.
I never had an editor.
I feel that. Little boy, go to hell.
I also love finding out people are uncredited. Like, no,
Yeah.
thank you. Don't put my name on this.
Feel free not to credit me, actually. But it's like, okay, you have one of the most distinct voices.
Yeah, we know, buddy.
Now, Nate, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say there are times in this movie from 1999 where you're like, that's impolitic. We wouldn't phrase it quite that way now.
Me? Have I given that impression all
might
episode?
say it a little bit differently. Is there a moment where you were cringing a little bit during this movie?
This is Nate, the guy who said, we're talking about weed? Because just so you know, I never bogart.
Hey, look. Sometimes an 80-year-old man will dust off some old slang. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cringy things in here. I think that it's on. I think Big Gay Al's song is maybe the cringiest thing because it's doing that 90s sort of. This is okay, but also this is as parodied as it can possibly be.
Yeah,
that was sort of the point when I cringed the most because it feels like it's trying to present itself as a genuine, like, we're doing a thing, and the statement is gay people are kind of a joke.
Yeah. I remember people used to ask.
The soldiers loved it.
They really did. They were all about it. I know there's always been this inherent tension with that character where it's like, and that I get this a lot more from the episode that he's first featured in than the movie, to be honest. But I feel like they try so hard to make it be that he's not the object of jokes. But I do think there is a bigger way in which he is kind of the butt of the joke, even if they're working so hard to make him not be the butt of the joke. And I think that tension is very much there.
There is the part, though, where he says he will not be singing, even though he totally intends to.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm the gayest. That is my gayest quality.
Ryan, when were you cringing during this movie?
This is a hard one for this movie because of its intent. And I know, like, I feel like, much like Greg's South Park shirt, I was, deep into this person, and then now I feel like a hack for saying how great he is. But watching Conan die, it hurt him in the crayons. And also, it's just that's not Conan. Like you said, he was doing a Jay Leno in Conan's face. Why not make that Jay Leno?
That bit sucked.
Conan was like the king of the alt comedy.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's too many. I think all the other real cringe moments cancel each other out. Right. And I loved yours, Nate. In fact, I'm going to give you a point too, even though it's not technically allowed. But I did spend the entire scene with Conan being like, wait, but no, that's like, I think it almost felt like you ever like kind of josh around with someone who clearly doesn't know like how to calibrate joshing, right. So they just like go scorched earth in a weird way. Yeah. That's what it felt like. It felt like they didn't calibrate the joke properly, and that it wasn't like deferential. It was just like,
and also knowing them, like I didn't hear this story, but knowing them, like they asked Conan, he said no, I can't, and they're like, fuck you then.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, dude, they do seem low key vindictive like that. All right. Ryan, this movie, in addition to having some cringy parts, it does have some funny parts. What was the funniest part, you thought?
Again, another hard award, because I laughed very hard in a theater, not but 26 years ago, and a lot the other week. But I can't not love when they are giving examples. Instead of saying shit, say poop. And the third example is that this poop is cold.
This poop is cold. That's just so fucking rude, too.
like you're at Thanksgiving. And you're like,
Mom, this poop is cold.
I don't know why. You know what? I don't have to fucking. This is the one award I don't have to explain.
Yeah, that is so weird, though. Like that makes a good point. Like what you're trying to eliminate is that the kid swears, right? And so just replacing what they say, it doesn't seem sufficient because they're like, okay, I can't say shit. I'll say poo, but still the thing I want to say is this poo is cold. Child, why do you want to talk that way?
So much ruder than
don't address an adult like that. You don't need to speak in this manner. Nate, how about for you? Your arms are firmly crossed, but did you ever laugh one time during this movie?
I laughed out loud when Dr. George Clooney replaces Kenny's heart with a baked potato by mistake
And they like
and
wake him
wakes
up.
him up to say, "Hey, you're back. Sorry." And then his baked potato heart explodes. I thought that was hilarious.
Because isn't that used in like elementary school science labs? Like it'll run a battery for a minute.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can
yeah,
run
he
a
had
clock on a potato. Yeah.
Right. So he had 1 second.
Yeah, if
left.
he had a little bit of time to do
Yeah.
it. All right, I'm going to give that one to Nate. Now, this movie was a musicale. So, what was your favorite music moment in the movie, Nate?
I kind of said it before, but the Mountain Town bookends to the whole movie is perfect. Like
Yeah.
I love that at the end it just keeps building and building and building on itself to the point where I mean I had to listen to it 5 times over to pick up as much as I could. But I've always enjoyed that kind of
They're
complexity
like
to it.
using
I
the
mean,
bells and they're like, they're
yeah,
pulling out all the.
and they're just adding one detail after the next, after the next,
Yeah.
after the next. That's really summarizing everything that happened in the movie to wrap up the movie after setting up
Yes.
the whole movie. It's genius.
I mean, if you did have to watch the first 3 seasons of South Park to go into this movie, that song cures it for you, right? Like
Yeah.
now you are totally caught up. Stan eats deer piss. He just grabs a bunch of snow that's yellow and just throws it in his face. Kenny's mom says, if you go to that movie instead of church, you'll go to hell.
You'll go to hell. Yeah, it
Fucking-
totally happens, man.
It is a perfect opening.
Kenny's like, okay. And it works out for him, honestly.
It does.
Ryan, what is your music moment?
I mean, La Resistance. Like
La Resistance, yeah.
I did not. This is in true Simpsons fashion. You'll hear about so many things watching The Simpsons, and then you'll go on to appreciate them later because you didn't understand the parody before. I did not know Les Mis before La Resistance. One Day More is the best song in any musical, and how they do this, how they have all of these singers overlapping, is amazing.
I'm going to give that one to Nate, and let me tell you why. You know who loves Les Mis? It's his favorite musical.
Hitler.
Donald J. Trump.
This is
Oh, yeah.
very topical.
Les
Famously
Mis.
asked recently if he saw himself as a Javert or a Jean Valjean, and he could not answer the question and deferred to his wife to answer.
This is like his favorite. He's got 2 noted favorite musicals. One's Les Mis, the other's Phantom of the Opera, which again is perfect. Our dullard president. His favorite musicals are like understood to be 2 of the big dumb ones.
He went to the Kennedy Center that he owns now to watch Les Mis recently, as of this recording, and he spent the entire time shitting and pissing into his diaper. Like
All it is he likes that they march on the turntable.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. And the reason he likes Phantom is that
down.
I guarantee that's the only detail he knows about either one of those things. All right, so I gave that one to Nate. So our final score here. Oh wait, no, recommendations. You guys both came with recommendations prepared, and so I would like to hear them before.
Let's get wrecked.
Let's get wrecked, Ryan. Recs and effects.
Movie theater experiences. There are probably 4 ever like I've had like this when I saw South Park. Borat is not a sleeper. Everybody knows about Borat. Amazing theater experience. The one that I still think not enough people have watched. I saw it in a semi-full theater. I was one of the 12 who saw this when it was out. It's a movie called Pop Star, Never Stop,
Yes.
Never Stopping.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it is as funny as this movie, nonstop, never stopping comedy. Please. And I think it's on Netflix now, finally. So maybe people will watch it. It's out.
So good. That's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
My recommendation is I recommend Ryan's recommendation. Check it out. It was just on the show a couple of seconds ago, and I think you should listen to it because it's pretty good. Nate, how about yours?
Yeah, that movie is amazing. We saw
You
that in
can't
the
just
theater
say
too.
Ryan's thing. You got to come up
I
with
know.
your own.
No,
recommendation.
I just want to add. I want to be additive. I like
Sorry.
propping up. I like propping up my.
I'm going
my
to give you a
fellow man.
point because that was rude of me.
My recommendation is if you like animation and you like something that's profane and violent, but also has a lot of emotional depth and people fighting demons, I recommend checking out Chainsaw Man, which is an anime series that gives you a little bit of everything. Like you got a main character, all he wants to do is touch boobs, but he's got to fight demons too. You got a cute little dog that's got a chainsaw embedded in it. You've got hideous monsters. It's fantastic.
Well, check it out. Chainsaw Man. My recommendation is going to be The Music Man.
77 trombones?
Honestly, you start watching that movie and you're like, musicals are dumb. And this is a proof that musicals are dumb. Look how dumb this is. And then about halfway through, you're like, wait, does this movie understand how dumb it is and how dumb musicals are? And by the end, it had like reality has completely broken in the world of the movie. And it's just like unreality comes pouring out of the fissure. And you realize the entire movie has just been goofing on you the entire time. Yeah, musicals are dumb. That's what makes them so much fucking fun. They're stupid and they don't mean anything. And we're just trying to have a good time.
As someone who has never seen it, so I feel like I should speak now. Isn't it about a con man conning a whole city to do his bidding?
He has a bunch of
to make a monorail.
He has a bunch of musical instruments, and so he decides he's just going to sell this city on the idea of having a band. And they're like, "We're not sure about music," and he's like, "I'm going to introduce you to music." And again, for the first 45 minutes, you're like, this is the stupidest fucking shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And then you just start getting these clues that the movie is actually kind of aware of what's going on. Again, this is 77. It feels like a movie that was made in the 50s. And so I think when you watch it nowadays, you're like, oh, this is just old. But there's more going on. And it is dumb as hell, though. But I think the point is that musicals are dumb as hell.
Because the whole premise is like all the kids in the town are going to get into trouble, and he shows up and he's like, "Hey, if you don't want your kids to play pool, they should play in a band."
Yes, yeah, and he's like, but he has to first sell them on the idea that pool is bad, and that if pool is bad and the kids don't have instruments, they will play pool. So they're like, we have to learn, but then he doesn't know how to teach the kids how to play, and then at the very end, it's like it's time for the kids to play, and the tension is like, well, what are you gonna do? These kids don't know how to play, and then there's an ending that I think you'll find quite interesting.
And this movie did not come out in 77. I think I misspoke and said that
77 trombones,
which I think it's a different number.
Okay.
I think it's 76 trombones.
76 trombones.
When the movie came out, but it does seem old as shit. It seems like it when you watch it, it feels like it came out.
Also 60s.
Like, yeah. But if you think that the quality of a piece of art being self-aware is something that like happened in the late 90s or that happened in your lifetime, I promise you this movie is very much playing with the notion that that something can be aware of how hokey it is. And I think if you love musicals, that is something that people don't realize that you love about them. Do we have a date for Music Man?
Oh, I just
1962.
62. Okay, so and that's what I would say. 62 is when it feels like it came out in the movie, but again, it's slightly.
But it does feel set in the 40s.
Oh yeah, as hell. Yeah,
because it's like pork pie hats and all that jazz.
I think it's incredible because the guy who did it on Broadway did it in the movie. Robert Preston.
Who was in Victor Victoria. Yes,
and they were like, "Hey man, you have to sing a bunch of songs," and he was like, "I don't sing."
Yeah,
and so he just talks, but he is so good at it that it's better than singing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you don't get quite the Victor Victoria performance out of him, but he's interesting as a con man. Well, check it out. 1977's 76 Trombones as played by Robert Preston. That's my recommendation. Our final score, Nate, you got 37 points. That is a trombone's worth of points. But Ryan, you got 40 points. You are our South Park winner. How bad did you want to win this South Park one, Ryan?
I wanted it really bad, not just because I love the movie South Park, but because I think Nate beat me on the Mean Streets episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was rough. That was one where, like, I saw the score and I was like, whoa, this is trouble. Ruh-roh.
Here in River City?
It's right here in River City. That is our South Park show. Ryan, congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
Speaking of winning, what type of awards might South Park have wrapped up? Ryan, you said you thought, off air, you said you thought Shithead is absolutely wrapped up for this one.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with the class what you were thinking of?
Nate, do you remember a person in this movie named Gregory?
You meant Gregory? I was so afraid you meant Gregory. Is it because he says things like, "Come, Wendy, let's jump over the hilly brush"?
I got a 4.0 grade score at Brush Hill.
At Yarddale.
Yarddale.
But I have a 4.0 grade point at Yarddale.
Yeah, he's awful. But I think Law Resistance, like, come on.
Yes.
Music moment of the year.
Yeah. You may get stabbed in the head with a dagger or a sword.
Or it might be Brian Boitano. I mean, like, could this movie take all 5 nominations?
That's that. The other thing I was thinking was music moment, right? Like, just for sheer flooding the zone with how many different musical moments. But I wonder if there's going to be even any others to compare it to
in our favorite conversation, which is shitheads are not villains.
Yeah.
Is there a bigger shithead but not villain than Gregory? Like, is Saddam?
Honestly, dude, when you said off air that you thought shithead was locked, I'm going to tell you and I'm not trying to be a wise guy here. I thought you meant Stan and Kyle. They are such fucking pieces of shit, dude. And I don't know if they're supposed to be or whatever. I know that they each voted for Trump, both in 2016 and in 2024.
Who they called Turd Sandwich.
Because they're just like so awful all the time. But maybe duo, Satan and Kenny could be a good
that would
duo.
be a good duo.
And
save a lot of lives.
Maybe best sex.
Oh yeah,
pulling
out those 2 dildos.
Maybe or the stumbling on the Shiza scene on the old internet. Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us, folks. Please check out Debut Buddies.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on, and yeah, what a joy.
What a joy. We have a lot of other great movies coming up this season, so make sure you check each one of those out. But in the meantime, do me a favor, will you? Keep watching them movies.